Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man cartoon in nearly 2 decades. I'm not even gonna build up to it. I'm not gonna go, is it? But is it? No, it is. It's true. Ultimate Spider-Man had a pretty solid start, but squandered it instantly. Its childishness ended up being a detriment to the show, and in that show's confusion on what to do, they pushed aside its supporting cast. Spider-Man 2017 did nothing to really capture my attention, sadly. But this, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, brought back the drama, the intrigue, the sincerity of Spider-Man. Welcome back to Browntable. This video is all about glazing the latest Spider-Man show. Spectacular Spider-Man ending devastated little me. I was crying like a little baby. It was awful. My parents were crashing out because where am I gonna get my Spider-Man fix? It was a devastating time, and it still is one of the most accurate interpretations of Spider-Man I've ever seen. Comparing that to Friendly Neighborhood, which to be honest is not one of the most accurate, it still manages to be compelling, engaging, and it makes you fall in love with the character of Spider-Man all the same. There's this weird thing that the MCU did for the character in his solo movies, with the first having him vie for Iron Man's attention and approval, and Far From Home having him feel the need to live up to Iron Man once again. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is closer to the ideal vision of what Spider-Man should have been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He seeks approval, but not as much from others. It feels more of like a journey towards an acceptance within himself. He needs to live up to the ideal version of himself in his head. The craziest thing with this Peter is Uncle Ben dies before he gets the spider bite.
Things have been different without having Uncle Ben around, but you've always been here for me.
We already know that he's a good person because of Ben, and his wisdom comes from Ben's teachings before he died, already stated by showrunner Jeff Trammell. But smartly, it decides to use the lack of Ben to its advantage. This Peter Parker has not heard of the words, "with great power comes great responsibility."
I feel like there's so much that I have to do.
And without them, there is a sense of confusion and a lack of focus.
If I can't handle that responsibility, then I am weak.
Because he wants to be the best version of himself, he looks for guidance in Norman Osborn, who ultimately offers him his own misguided sense of what it means to have power.
With great power comes great respect.
And yeah, you watch this show and you're looking at the supporting cast and you're like, wait, Nico Minoru? Nico Minoru from The Runaways, a comic I've never read? Yeah, this show has a lot of characters that aren't from Spider-Man's usual supporting cast. But again, the show uses this to its advantage. You don't know how the show is going to use them. With distinct characters comes a different way of telling a story that's been adapted again and again and again. There of course exists the issue of a character being there just to be there, and you're like, whoa, it's that character from that thing. And they bring nothing to the story, or there's little depth or care about them. But in this show, so much story comes from Nico, comes from Lonnie, comes from Harry. The supporting cast is excellent, and their journeys propel Peter's and alter the world around him. These characters don't just serve Peter, they serve the world. And by changing the world around Peter, he has to adapt, which allows for dramatic storytelling that Peter has a little control over and has to deal with. Peter has to come to realize his intentions for being a hero, and how it can hurt those around him.
I could have explained then what I'm doing, why I'm doing it.
Nico has to realize that secrets have a purpose and a cost.
I'm happy to continue being there for you.
Both Lonnie and Peter juggle responsibilities, but while Peter is trying desperately to live up to his responsibilities and wants to be better, feeling like he's failing, Lonnie has had all these responsibilities all throughout his life, and getting a taste for this weird freedom, with less of an obligation, a moral obligation too, it leads him down a path to joining the 1/10th. I mean, he's manipulated to joining, but eventually he stays on his own accord. The 1/10th's issues with the Scorpion leads the villain to Otto Octavius, someone Norman hates, and Peter has to deal with the Scorpion now and also deal with the 1/10th, and he has to confront Lonnie there, and you see what I mean by everything being entangled? Entangled, by the way, not hit movie tangled. I know it was confusing for a second, I got you. The show benefits from having episodes at times feeling separate and distinct. There's like Villain of the Week episodes, there's a suit testing episode, but in the background, the plot is always moving ever forward. It's not designed to be a show where people watch just one episode and it's like, oh cool, that was fun, bye, and they never watch it again. And that's the the thing. No, the show unravels naturally like a more young adult oriented show, with drama and stakes that I haven't felt since Spectacular. Sometimes cartoons reserve the final like 3 episodes of a season for something like this. It's like stuff builds a little by little in the background, and then the final 3 episodes happen and it's like, whoa, okay, now the plot's really moving, you know what I mean? And that's what like caps off the season. This show feels like every single episode is building up to something, and it's excellent. It keeps you hooked, man. Now, to all you telenovela fans like me, well, I used to be, I don't watch them, and I haven't watched them in like more than a decade, whatever. Anyways, to all the soap opera fans out there, this show brings back the soap opera elements of the character. People that say they don't like the soapiness of the character, you're dumb, man. And while your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man takes a ton of creative liberties with the character's origin, it all feels so well executed that you can't even fault them. All you can really say is like, I wish it was like this, but it's not to the show's detriment, because it really is very tightly written. There are a couple gripes I do have though, and if you want to avoid spoilers completely, because I've been kind of vague, I feel, still, you can click off now. One issue I had is Lonnie being kind of let off scot-free. Lonnie helps out Spider-Man once he gets his tombstone abilities, and it feels like because of that, everything's cool. Actually, now that I think about it, Spider-Man not only lets Lonnie off the hook, he lets the entire 1/10 off the hook. And I would understand if the only context he saw was the Scorpion attack, but like, they were endangering civilians. Nico was almost flattened if not for him, so just an interesting decision. I do think how the 1/10 arc kind of wrapped up in the season wasn't as successful as how other arcs were wrapped up. Lonnie also is the one to stop Peter from killing the Scorpion, which I believe to be a bit much.
You don't want to be like him. People look up to you. Don't throw that away.
I do feel that in a show where Peter asks others for advice on what to do a lot, it was time for him to make the right choice for himself, and I feel that this would have made his later conversation with Norman Osborn a lot more intense. I do think that scene should have been reserved for Peter and Peter alone to recognize his actions. So I understand the idea, but I do believe that Lonnie should have had a deeper, more intense downfall. I believe the show played the character too safe at the end. It sometimes feels like the only real, like, fucked up villain that the show has is the Scorpion. Everyone else feels a little too neutral evil or chaotic neutral. Does that make sense? By the way, the Scorpion, scary as fuck. Wow, they did such a good job with the Scorpion. You believed that every time he was on screen, somebody was getting hurt. Like, there's no way he's gonna show up and nobody's getting fucked up. That's how menacing they made him. And his tail design, how he fights, so cool. If anything, at least have Peter be a little more vocal over his distaste over what Lonnie's done and with the actions he's taken before swinging away.
Thanks for the help.
Huh?
Stay safe, man.
Huh?
And on Peter being stopped by Lonnie from killing the Scorpion, Peter eventually realizes his mistake there, but it still feels like the big lesson hasn't cemented itself. Obviously, the lesson being with great power, there must also come great responsibility. Without those words, it does feel like Peter hasn't fully reached true understanding of who he is. It becomes very apparent in this voice memo he leaves Nico.
I could have explained then what I'm doing, why I'm doing it.
It even feels like he's about to state why he does what he does, but the show stops him from doing so.
I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Ah! Like, what were you gonna say? You were right there, bro. I need to know. Tell me. I do like that at the end, he's getting there. And he does understand his purpose. As kind of vague as it is, I do wish the show put words to it. And I wonder if they eventually will, given, Richard Parker's existence in this universe. Ultimately, Peter and why his ideals are the way they are the only qualm I have with the show. It feels like he's a good person for the sake of being one, but since he wrestles so much with what that means, the show kinda not really offering the solution was a bit disappointing. I wonder if by the end, when it shows that Norman Osborn is just genuinely not a very good person, it's kind of like the show saying you have to discover this for yourself. Thankfully though, pretty much everything else in this show was top tier. On the final 2 episodes, they genuinely blew my mind. Real quick first, Coleman Domingo also as Norman Osborn so good, but also it feels like he's evoking Dafoe as he plays Norman. He makes the role his own. And let me just say also, the references this show has to the movies, all of them, it just feels like they genuinely watched all these and they care about the character. It's really cool. They never feel ham-fisted in.
Tritium?
Even Octavius would have a hard time finding that.
That precious tritium.
Real quick on the 9th episode, I love how Spider-Man's always quipping throughout the series, and he's actually really funny.
You brought a knife to a web fight? That's actually really smart.
But he actually gets pissed off and serious in this episode, and you can tell that he's pissed off because he's just quiet. And fuck, I love when Spider-Man just locks in and doesn't say shit. It's so sick. And on the 10th episode, the inclusion of Doctor Strange and having everything tie back to the beginning of the show was brilliant. I love time travel stuff, and the paradox it creates is super crazy and weird, but I don't care. That shit's so fun. I also love how Peter begins to realize Norman Osborn's true personality and how at every turn he just keeps manipulating Peter by telling him what he wants to hear. And Peter just doesn't fuck with Norman's weird secrets and intentions.
I don't know that I can fully trust Oscorp again, or Mr. Osborn.
Daredevil showed up, that was enough for me. This show gets an 11 out of 10. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not gonna glaze a show just because Daredevil shows up, but he was awesome in the show. And the way the show also incorporates little moments where other characters know things that the main character doesn't, so nice. Moments like that make it feel like there's huge things at play that we don't understand because we're mostly through Peter's POV. And because of that, we're excited to unravel these mysteries with Peter. The show looks great, feels great, the music is top notch, the acting's banger, and the way the season ends genuinely leaves you wanting a second season so badly. It's awesome. And MCU Spider-Man, stand up! How are your final swings getting beaten by this cartoon? Dude, this shit is so much aura, and this is how No Way Home ends? Okay, man. Okay, also, oh my god, man, listen, I love No Way Home. If I get comments on this video saying No Way Home's final swing is good, please watch the Raimi movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Spider-Verse movies. Fucking Far From Home's final swing was better. Please, oh my god, I'm so tired of people saying that that was a passable final swing. Now I'm rambling about something else. Anyways, while the show has its faults, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is up there as one of the best Spider-Man shows ever. It's so much fun. It's so enjoyable. I really got emotional watching it. I was freaking out watching it. I was yelling. When the fucking glider showed up, I was like, wow, that's incredible world building that was just placed in there little by little, hinting at things that are gonna happen in the future that, you know, Peter is just not expecting. And I can't wait for its second and third season. Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. Make sure to check out Interstellar Ranger Commence, Browntable's original animated series. Thank you so much, Hazel, for drawing Hope Griffin from Interstellar Ranger Commence. Your style is absolutely banger. Remember to become a member to get early access to videos and exclusive content. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.